Good day, everyone. So I'm going to basically show how to use some of the modifiers with Remesh, and I have quite a few things that I'll be showing. Some of the things are, of course, as I said, Remesh. I'm going to be using the mirror modifier, the multi-resolution modifier, subdivision surface modifier, as well as the smooth modifier. So just for your information, this is really computer intensive process. It will take your computer down, slow you down, but at the same time you get really clean, smooth, joined objects. It's really hard to do otherwise, to connect everything together on a flat surface with a round surface. Just another way to model. Anyway, I hope this tutorial helps everyone in the process. Any questions, please ask them, and please subscribe. Thank you. Okay, here we go. We're going to start off with the box. I'm going to modify this a little bit smaller, make it a bit bigger. Make these like 1.5, 1.5. And then I'm going to actually come in here and modify this a little bit. One of the things that you got to do when you do voxelation to make it really smooth is to add a lot of detail to it before you voxelize it. So that way it comes out to be a much better, crisper model. So here we go. So I'm going to go to edit here first. To create some detail. Bring this up a little bit. Just want to get a nice edge to this. Alright, so hit the Alt key, and then the Shift key. Also use the Alt and Shift key. There we go. Alright, so we're going to actually do a bevel again. And this time I'm going to add a bunch of, kind of like this look. I'm going to keep this the way it is. The Alt key, Shift, click, click, click. Hold down the Shift key. And continue to hold down the Alt and Shift key. Okay, now I'm going to actually bevel this part. So this will have a nice smooth edge. So something like 5. Okay. So another thing would be to make this nice and smooth. And one thing I need to do is add in a bunch of detail to this object. So one way to do that is to get in here and add some detail. So if I click on this, this is going to bring this up quite a bit. Let's say, let's do a 40. And a lot of detail. Okay, so that's that. Same thing here. 40. Put it in here. Same thing. 40. Go here. Same thing. 40. Okay. So, I can also go in here, just put in, let's do about 10. 10. And the reason I'm doing this is, like I said, you need a lot of detail to really make this thing punch properly. Okay, there's that. So let's go back out of the see-through mode and go back to normal mode. Alright, so I'm going to hit the select key, hit Polygon, and then I'm going to actually take this and I'm going to actually modify it. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit out there. I'm going to use the extrude region down, bring this down in. This will look pretty cool. Same thing here. Go back to the selection mode. I'm going to hit this tool again to like that. There we go. And now I'm going to delete this. delete the actual face. Okay, so now I'm going to actually hit the Alt key and hit the edge to select it. And then I'm going to select points. And then I'm going to go to F3 and actually select the grid fill tool. So look for the grid fill, select that. And then I'm actually going and actually hit simple blending. And that's good, so it gives a lot of detail there. Okay, so I'm going to add some edges to this with the loop tool, just to get a little more edge to the bottom and tops and all the edges. So continue with this process. Okay. Now some on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to select the base of this object, and then I'm going to inset it, the inset tool, bring it in. Okay, I'm going to delete the actual poly, the delete key, hit faces. Now I'm going to hit the edge section with the Alt key. And now I'm going to actually go in and again F3 to select grid fill. And there we go, still set up as before. Okay, now I'm just going to add a texture. I'm going to go to the shading section. I'm going to make this metallic, so 100%. And then I'm going to also change the color a little bit darker gray. That way I can see it better. So what I'm dealing with. I'm going to take down the roughness a little bit to give it a little more shine. Reflection. Okay, also hit the smooth shading as well with the right click, and also hit the auto smooth within the normal section. Okay, so I went back to layout mode, and now I'm going to actually add in some other objects. So going back to add mesh, and then a cylinder, and I'm going to bring this down. It's way too big. I'm going to keep the 32, so I'm going to bring these things a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make that 0.25 or 0.15, and I'm going to bring this height down to 0.2. Okay, I'm going to bring it up on the z-axis. Okay, I'm going to bring it up so you can see it. Got the snap tool on. Let me turn that off. Okay, now I'm going to hide the main object. So I'm going to bring it to the side, bring it down, rotate it, basically. And so I'm going to try and line this up, bring it a little closer. I'm going to move it, G key, push it in. This way it actually connects together with the other object. Okay, so I hit the other object so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I was going to go to face mode. Okay, I'm going to do an inset. Bring it in, the base. Same thing, delete it. Delete the face. Again, hit the select the edge tool. Go to grid fill, the F3 key. Okay, now we're going to deal with the top. Again, we're going to do a bevel on this one. Adjust it to wherever you want, of course. Go at that. Okay, so I'm going to hit the top polygon by selecting it. And now I'm going to inset it. Then I'm going to extrude it in, bring it down. Again, I'm going to bring this in, inset it, so I have the detail to it. Okay, again, delete face. Let's go back to the edge mode. Select it with the Alt key. Okay, hit the F3 key again, grid fill. Alright, perfectly lined. That's that. I'm going to add some more detail to these edges, so Alt key. select this one with the Alt-Shift key. And go to bevel. A little bit of detail here. About 7. I'm going to add some loops. Bring it down low, a little bit higher. Basically add this throughout. Help define the object a little bit better when you subdivide it. Bottom. I'm going to bevel this little piece here too. About 6. You can hit the other selection tool, make it easier. I'm going to select all the base ones. This way I can do this right. Select them all. I'm going to scale this out with the scale tool. And then I must go back and just line this up. G key. Bring that up. So I'm selecting the edge tool, bringing this up. I'm actually going to hit the Alt key and add some more detail to the edge here. Bring this up. About 4 segments. Okay, so I'm going to hide this thing now. See where it lines up with the other object. Okay, now I'm going to actually go in and modify this object and give it some more detail. I'm going to add modifiers, multi-resolution modifier. Okay, so I'm now hit the subdivide again, hit it 2 times, and then hit it 3 times. Gives a lot more polygons, makes it really smooth looking. Okay, so I'm going to make sure it's smooth shaded. And go to normals and actually hit auto smooth with 30%. Now I'm going to raise this up, basically go to the side view to see what I'm doing, which is the number 1 on the number pad, and I'm going to bring it up to line it up with the edge. This way it'll blend in really nicely. Rotate a little bit more so it actually the rotation is proper. So basically I'm going to do the Control A key so I can actually align the actual selection to the center of the object. This way when I mirror this thing, it'll properly mirror right. So now I'm going to go to Mirror Modifier. And it's on the X-axis, that's perfect. So now I'm going to select Shift D, and now I'm going to rotate it and place it exactly at 90 degrees on the Z-axis. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just taking a look at this thing. Now what I'm going to do is actually combine these together. So I'm going to first apply the mirror modifiers to each of these. So that's that one. Now select the other one, hit the apply modifier. Okay, now I'm going to actually hit all 4 of these and actually bring them together with the Control J. Because one object. So now I'm going to actually add another object to this. And this one is going to be a triangle in the center of this, just to give it a different look. This will be a cutter. Okay, now I'm just adjusting the actual size of the disc. Bring it down, radius. You can make it whatever you want. Try to get it so it looks good in the center here, about 0.75. Then I'm going to go to 3 vertices, that way I get an exact triangle. And I'm bringing this up on the Z-axis. This way it'll punch through. This is going to be a cutter basically. Okay, now I'm going to go to edit mode and select each of these edges. And now I'm going to hit the bevel section so that way I can put a nice edge on these things. I kind of want to just keep that look. I'm going to go with a smooth edge on each of those corners now that I created, which is 6 of them. Alright, now hit the bevel again. A little bit of an edge there, and then add some segments. 6. Alright, now hit the bevel again. A little bit of an edge there, and then add some segments. 6. Okay, hide everything else. I'm going to go in there and actually modify the base. Hit polygon. And I'm going to bevel this in, not too much, because it's going to overcut if I do too much. Add some segments. Alright. So I'm going to go to the tool section where I have the Bool tool. Bool tool is a tool that you can download for free, and you just add it to modifiers. I'm not going to go over that on this. There's other videos that talk about that. So okay, now I cut this in. I use the difference. Okay, so now I'm going to go to edit mode on this object and actually select the center section of the polygon itself. So hit the selection mode, hit the center poly, and now I'm going to shrink this down. I'm actually going to inset this a little bit. Actually add a little detail in the center section here. So I hit the inset. Okay, bring it in a little bit. So now I got the polygon selected still. I'm going to hit the Shift D, so that way it separates it as one object, a part of the object as a separate poly. Okay, now I'm going to the mesh section and separate this part out as a separate object now, so it becomes its own. And once I've done that, I'm actually going to now go in there and modify. I'm basically going to just delete the face itself, not the edge. I'm going to use the edge to actually create a curve, so I can actually add some thickness to it. So hit the polygon, go to edit mode. Okay, hit the delete key. Only faces. Okay, so now you just got the edge. Now Alt key, select it. So now I got to go to the object mode and use the convert tool to curve. Now once I have a curve, I'm actually going now to the modifier and adjust these parameters. I go to geometry and add in some depth. That way I have an edge to this. Actually going back in there and to adjust the extrusion 0.02. And I'm going to actually hit shade smooth. Okay, basically I'm going to hit everything. So I see what I'm doing. So now I'm going to go to the shading section and actually add an emission to this. So make sure your object selected. And I'm going to get rid of the pencil BSD if you here, and actually add in a emissive shader. Okay. So now I'm just going to add this to it, drag it, and then I'm going to select the color that I like, and I'm going to add a little bit more of a strength to this, so it punches, around 10 or so. So now I'm going to actually take these sections, apply the multi-resolution. Okay, now I'm actually going to select the knobs as well as the base, and actually Control J to combine them. That way it takes on the actual base texture. Okay, now I'm going to do the remesh. This is the most intensive part of it, so be prepared. I would save your work. So now I'm going to go to remesh and hit that. And the 0.01 is not going to do much for you. Also, I'm going to add in a smooth modifier as well. So these are your main two things that you're going to need. I put in a factor of 2. I'm going to go back into the voxel itself and put 0.005. That's about the farthest you want to go. Hopefully this doesn't crash your computer. This is the minimum that I normally go with. going to be over 1,000,000 something polygons, and it's definitely going to, you know, crunch your computer a little bit. I normally go down to like 0.3, 0.2, somewhere in there. That's the farthest I'll go, just to get the look. It depends again how far and close you're going to be to your object to determine how tight you want to make this look. So now I'm going to select the smooth part of this to add a little bit of smoothness to the object. I'm going to put around 10. And I use 0.003 on the voxel size. Now we're over 6 million polys, and I'm going to actually go to 0.02, but first 0.002. But first I'm going to actually save again, just so I don't lose everything, because sometimes this thing can hold up and crash your system. So I ended up using 2 on the smoothness and went to 0.0015 on my computer, which was a massive amount of polys, but it gave me a really nice sharp edge where I needed it. Again, if your computer cannot handle that, I would not go that far down. Anyway, like I said, this is a very intensive process. Anyway, please let me know if you like it. Subscribe. Thank you.